Welcome. Today we're going to discuss the technique Gripping Talon, its execution, some of the errors that arise from its execution, and ways to compensate or fix those mistakes. First thing we're going to talk about is the ideal face attack, which is a left hand direct right wrist grab. Now keep in mind, anytime we're dealing with a grab, unless it's to our neck, we actually want to worry about the available weapons that are left, not necessarily the grab. This is no danger to me. These are dangerous to me. So keeping that in mind, let's talk about some of the things we can do before we actually get into the technique. Simplest thing to do would be to step back, pull my arm back. The reason this would work is because we'd be going against the weakest part of the grab, which is the thumb. All my body's pulling, but there's two reasons why we don't do that in this technique. One of them being the closed environment concept, meaning we can't step back. The second one, if we could step back, would be that by doing this, we're both in a neutral position. Neither one of us has an advantage. Since he's already made the mistake of grabbing us, we're actually going to take advantage of that and go against the strongest part of his grab, which is all four fingers, to cancel our opponent and start controlling him. So the way we're going to do that is, again, keeping in mind that he has this weapon, by getting a wrist lock. Now, one of the problems that happen with this wrist lock is we start to do this big circle because we want to block that hand, and we leave a nice line of entry for the bottom. So if we keep our elbow anchored, we start to do the lock here, and then we keep the line of entry for the top. So the way to compensate for both of those would be, again, keeping your elbow anchored, doing this as if they were outward blocks, but at the same time, bringing this hand higher so that I can already block both the high and the low zone. So what I'm going to do now is expose a little skin to show you what's happening here. What I'm doing is I'm rolling my hand towards the groin, which is my next available target, against the fingers, which again locks up the elbow. This is what cancels the depth and the width. So the way to do that, as I begin to apply pressure, I get the lock. Now if you're lucky enough, they're not double jointed, you'll be able to get them under tippy toes, also cancel their height. So one more time, anchored elbow, roll. As I start to step forward, and I'm going to go right through the fingers. The next part to talk about is the step with the hammer fist. It could be done in several ways. I can step and then hammer fist. I can try to hammer fist, then step. We obviously want to do that together. Kenpo always does economy of motion. We want to get the maximum power possible, so we're going to do it as we settle into our stance and strike. That's where we want to hit. Now, let's talk about the step. Keeping in mind that we are trying to protect ourselves from their available weapons, we do not want to step too far away from their hand. As I step too far away, just like we had line of entries before, now we're creating a line of entry to our low zone, which is called straddling the paddle. So in order to avoid that or compensate for it, we want to make sure we step directly in. So once again, I get the lock and I step in. The next problem that arises from this execution is this gap. A lot of times we leave this gap here while we're hitting. The problem with this is it can start effectively striking me. So the way to compensate for that would be to keep my hand here. However, keeping our hand here means I can no longer strike him, because anytime I let go, I get hit. So the way to fix that problem is to do what's called a third hand. I use my body as a third hand. I keep his arm against my body. Now I can effectively start to strike. So once again, we step in, hand and foot timing together. Remember, settle as we hit. Keep this third hand. The next part of the technique is the elbows. Now keep in mind that all these elbows are done as majors. We don't want minors, so there's no glancing with the elbows. Keep the elbows compact. Everyone should know when you're doing your elbows, you want to keep a compact unit as close as you can to your bicep, and your hand should never go past your center line. This gives you less range. So we step in. Now, the problem that comes here is people make a cock a separate motion. You start to pull this back for your major, and again, you start creating that gap. So we want to eliminate that. Keep the third hand, hit. As you settle, get your hips turning into it. Pull, get the outward elbow. Now, again, don't separate the gap. Don't give him any space. Keep the third hand. This, you can start adding your body English. Do a little push-pull to generate more power. The next part from here is going to be the back knuckle. This back knuckle actually gets delivered to the sternum, and again, it's major. The way we're going to deliver this is as we step, we settle with the hit. Again, timing. I don't want to hit, then step. I don't want to step, then hit. It's got to be together. From here, hit. Again with the gap. Don't start to separate this and get hit with the elbow. So keep everything together. Third handing, I got my hit. The next part would be the buckle. This buckle is actually done on a 45. So we're already set up for it from where we are in. Just take the diagonal to get the proper line for your buckle. Now keep in mind, just like the beginning and the middle part of the technique, hand and foot step together. We got the elbows, hand and foot step together. The next piece, I want to have my hand cocked, hand and foot step together. They're done simultaneous. This is an inverted vertical roundhouse. It could easily be changed into a ridge hand or a heel palm. But the idea is, again, not one, then two, not two, then one. You want to do them together, one with two. Once we get that move, we're going to talk about the knee. So we get the circle, we hit, elbows, keeping the third hand, settle, strike. The next part would be the knee. When we're doing our knee, remember anything we can do with the high zone, we can do with the low zone. Same concepts apply. Compact unit. I want to keep my foot as close as I can to my body, keep everything compact, keep my toes pointing down. We're just going to take it from here. The other hand, my hand wants to make sure it keeps contact with the head so we can do a vice-like motion as we deliver the knee. Try not to lose contact with the hand, keep control of the head. As you begin to cover out, you could potentially add a break or a pull, take them down, but that's not part of the ideal phase, but it is available if you so choose to add it. So one more time, we'll do a quick walkthrough. Remember, closed environment concept, can't step back. No big circles, no line of entry. Careful with this hand. Do not straddle the paddle. Keep your elbow anchored. Pretend you're doing outward blocks. Cancel the height, width, and depth. If you can't get the height, settle as you strike with the hammer fist. All majors with these elbows. No glancing. Compact units. Third handing. Keep this elbow close to my body. Remember, no gapping. Settle as I hit with this. Buckle on the 45 as I deliver my strike at the same time. Compact unit with the knee, just like we did with the elbow. Vice-like motion with the hand. Cover out, and the technique. So one time a little bit faster. I hope this video has helped you. Thank you very much.